Welcome to another month here on Weekly Spark. And for the month of March, the animal that is going to be my inspiration, and I invite you to join me, that animal is the hare. And not necessarily the rabbit, but more specifically the hare. And I did pick March because you've heard the phrase mad as a March hare. You've seen Alice in Wonderland with the Mad Tea Party, with the Mad Hatter and the Mad March Hare. And that mad terminology comes from hares' mating behaviors that happen in the spring. They do boxing. They do a lot of like jumping and dancing and fighting. Usually the females are bigger, and so they're boxing away the males until they're ready to mate. So yeah, courtship behavior. Baby hares are called leverets, which I think is just the wildest word. And they're born with their eyes open and with fur. So very different from baby rabbits. The hare as a symbol is often associated with the moon and the lunar cycle, but there are obvious connections with the hare and the symbol of fertility, right? Because hares are so prolific in breeding and in having litters of leverets. But they're associated with creativity as well, that kind of fertile mind, and even longevity. I get so fascinated in looking at an animal, in this case the hare, and how it becomes, in some ways, an archetype across cultures and across times, embodying some of the same principles. And, in this instance, the hare and the moon takes us to so many different places. The Mayan goddess Chel, whose consort was a hare. She was a goddess of the moon. She was a goddess of weaving and of water, and of cycles and things that are traditionally female in nature. In Asia, you have myths about the hare and the moon with a mortar and pestle, grinding the elixir of immortality. You have a Chinese goddess, Chang O, who is a goddess of the moon and is connected to the hare. In Japan, a white hare guides the goddess Amaterasu to the site where she builds her palace. She was a sun goddess, so even though she's not a moon goddess, there's still that sun and moon connection. So I have pages of notes on hares, and I haven't even started reading the book for the month. Honestly, I could probably work with hares for a year and not run out of different ideas. There are myths about the hare being placed in the moon by the Buddha or by the Hindu god Indra. As the characters all meet on the road and gather around a campfire together, the hare realizes his companion is the Buddha and jumps in the pot to sacrifice himself to create a stew to feed the Buddha. And so in eternal thanks and safekeeping, the Buddha puts the hare in the moon. The Egyptian hieroglyph of to be, the very concept of existing, is the shape of a hare over a zigzag or a wave shape. That is going to end up in one of my pages for this month, because ancient Egyptian artwork, doing something in that style, and then using that hieroglyph as my inspiration. I'm specifically trying to stay away from the triple hares because they're their own identity. You think about Aesop's fables and the tortoise and the hare that was so fast but then got so cocky. In Native American and a lot of African myths, the hare is seen as a trickster figure. Hares were associated with both Artemis and Aphrodite, in connection to Artemis with the moon and with youth, and Aphrodite in, fertility and love. Hares are often associated with witches, in that there are folktales that say witches could turn into a hare. The classic kind of folktale where farmer's dog bites a hare on the leg as it's running it out of the field so it won't eat the crops. And then the next day, the woman the older woman who lives on the outskirts of town shows up with a wound in her leg in the same place, right? That kind of thing. Famous witch trials in Scotland in the mid 1600s. Isobel Gowdie. I shall go into a hare. She's probably going to be one of my page spreads too. There's just so much. So I'm avoiding the triple hare. I'm avoiding Easter. I am definitely leaning into the hare and the moon, but also looking at I mean, I might do an Alice in Wonderland page because those classic illustrations by Tenniel are so iconic and so much a part of our, collective the March Hare, right? We all think of that. So there's a Welsh saint. Well, she came from Ireland, but then she settled in Wales. And it was the things that she did in Wales that made her worthy of being a saint. She's the patron saint of hares. Her name is Saint Melangell. Well, I'm working on my Welsh pronunciation. Thank you, Duolingo. So yes, she sheltered hares under her cloak while she was out praying in a grove of trees, saving them from the hunters, and then becoming the patron saint of the hare. I mean, that's that. There's pagan goddess in there too. I mean, that's just priceless. So let me see if there's anything else that I have forgotten. Those are things that have kind of come up again and again. I mean, growing up, I shudder to think now, but I had a rabbit's foot for good luck, and there are strange cures. A rabbit's foot, in the Roman era, could be seen to help aid gout, help heal rheumatism. You can't even make this stuff up. So there's the rabbit in the Chinese zodiac. So quite a lot of inspiration. I've started the Pinterest board and I'm working on that. So hopefully there will be some things that work for you there as well. So hopefully that gives you a place to start. I know I have some notes on things that might end up in my 4 different spreads, one a week for this month. Forgive the dog, she would like to chase the hares. But for now, if you like this information and want to follow along with these weekly sparks, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all those YouTube things, because I do release art journaling content once a week at least, and hopefully we'll have some beading or some ceramics content coming up soon over the course of this year as well. So I'd love to have you like and subscribe. And as the dog bumps into the table, I think I'll go for now. See you soon with another episode. Hope you have time to take it to the page.